Valuable stuff for you there. And I think before we start that, we should probably do an introduction. I'm Dennis, Doctor on the Wells County Commission. Let's go this way,
Brent Keller, Road Department, Wells County.
Brian Miller, Commission.
Dale Schmitz, Manfred Township, North Dakota Township Officers Association.
I'm Dan Stuckling, I'm the Wells County Auditor.
Bob Wall, Lynn Township.
Ron Wise, Lynn Township.
Ryan Brimson, Silver Lake Township. Nathan Hart, Tracy Township.
Corey Hart, Silver Lake Township.
Kim Hart, Tracy Township.
Kyle Hart, Tracy Township.
Carol Raskin.
Henry Delger.
Cheryl Delger.
Dave Blake Township.
Mark Schmitz in Moose Township.
Sarah Henderson.
Don Hay, Chris White.
Tom Powell, Chris White.
Brian Law, Commissioner, District 5.
Danny Maxwell, Commissioner.
Okay, and again, I thank you all showing up. When we get done with Dan's presentation, we'd like to have some questions and concerns and give to us good, bad, or ugly. We're here to listen. So with that, anyone take it away?
All right, thank you. And thanks for being here. Good turnout. I've always been told I've got a voice that carries 5 miles, so you'll probably be able to hear me. If you can't, I can speak a whole lot louder. Gave you a sheet like this, and granted it is from 2025, but I think it would be helpful in knowing and understanding where your revenue sources come from. All of your revenue in here is all of it except interest that you're earning on bank accounts that you may have, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to take you to the back side of this page where there's only just a little bit of stuff on top. And this is where a township typically is going to get its revenue from. So you've got U.S. Fish and Wildlife. If they've got some leased property in your area, they're paying some money that comes back to you. Telecom, it's paid once annually. It's just share of gross receipts for various telecom businesses. Road and Bridge, paid once annually. If you have state-owned land that has roads and bridges, they're paying use some of those dollars. It's kind of in lieu of taxes, etc. Then you've got House Bill 1066, aka Prairie Dog funds. And we're going to come back to that because for one of the townships in here, that's going to be a big deal for you. 5 of you are at 18 mills right now. It's not an issue for you. You might have one other tripping point, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Your general fund dollars are those that you levy. So that is the actual property taxes that are being paid by the constituents who own property in your township. And you've got SAD, which stands for state aid. Every month, the state of North Dakota sends us some dollars, of which every one of our 36 townships gets a piece of that. It's by formula. And then you've got your road funds, which come quarterly based on road miles. That would be shares of gas tax and so on. If you go up to the top line, if you're relatively new to the clerking in your township, you may or may not know this. Every once in a while, you get a check from the county. We pay all political subdivisions 4 times a year, with the exception of school districts. We pay them every month. We pay everybody else 4 times a year: townships, cities, ambulance, fire, etc. And those payments come in February and March, when we have our biggest influx of tax dollars. And we pay again in July, so you're going to be getting a check here in the next 10 days or so. And then we pay in November before the next tax cycle begins, typically in the month of December. So that is where they come from. $1.123 million has gone out to the 36 townships, making up 100% of that. Do you have any questions or comments on anything related to the finances of the money that you receive? Because that's where it comes from. Now, you can go look at your individual township. You may get more or less from something. You might have a 0% in there. Maybe you don't have any leased game and fish land in your particular area, and so on. So it's not the same for everybody. It's a little bit different. All right, a couple of things that I want to address in here. Obviously, you can find a sheet that has valuations of all 36 townships. It has a 25 and a 26 on it. It looks like this. Should be in that packet that I handed out. All right. Admittedly, this does not include what are known as centrally assessed properties. Not fair to put them in there. I don't have those for 2026 yet. I'll have them sometime in the month of July, and then I will add them in. And I didn't feel it would be fair to put them in with 2025, because you look and go, what the heck happened here in the last 12 months? But our valuations are going to go down this year for the most part. There's only 2 townships that will see an increase in valuation. And you can look at them on the 2026 side. They've got a check mark next to them. It's Forward Township and Norway Lake. The other 34 townships are going to see a decline in their valuation. What do those 2 townships have in common? They both have a major grain handling facility within them. You've got Harper Companies right east of Harvey, and the Pheasant Co-op has their Hamburg station that is out in Norway Lake Township. Those are commercial properties, and commercial and residential are seeing increases. Ag on average, which is 69% of our valuation in Wells County, is seeing a 4% decline. So you're going to see a decline in your valuation. Don't forget, this does not include centrally assessed. May not be as big of a deal in this part of Wells County. It's a huge deal where BNSF is running their train through there. CP Rail is running through their oil and gas pipelines, which kind of follow the BNSF railroad tracks through Wellsburg and Sells and over towards Bremen and so on. But transmission lines, the big transmission line you see north of town here, obviously that is centrally assessed. Electrical substations, those are assessed, etc. Those guys pay taxes, and that is all dictated by the state of North Dakota. We have nothing whatsoever to do with the valuations of those properties. Likewise, we have nothing to do with the valuation of ag properties in Wells County. That is all determined at a state equalization. They deal with a formula from NDSU that comes out. It's based on the productive nature of that and so on. About the only way that Wells County can intervene on ag land is if there's a wetland modifier. Maybe you got water on your property that just doesn't go away or whatever. There's some things that can be done in the tax director's office. Our focus, obviously, in the tax director's office is on residential property and on commercial property. And it's difficult even for them to do commercial properties when you start getting into the Arthur companies and the Hamburg elevator. You got to bring in pros to evaluate those things. We're just not capable of doing that. One thing I do want to mention here when it comes to the topic of equalization, Probably some hard feelings in this part of the county as well as to the east of here, because you guys did see some increases on residential property and things of that nature this year. Equalization is probably a misnomer when it comes to that, because it does matter where it is geographically, what its square footage is, what its condition is, etc. Somehow, I think equal and fair are being conflated in this conversation. When it comes time to equalize and to establish values of property, we're not talking about market prices. Okay? It comes back down to a simple idea that it's tax time. And I think a better word than equal would be fair. What is your share? What is my share? What's Dale's share? What's Brian's share? School district's got a budget, county's got a budget, cities, township, ambulance, fire district, etc. They all have budgets. What's your share? And at the end of the day, if one property isn't going to go up, guess what somebody else's has to do? It has to go up. So within the letter of the law, and all of those places have budgets, now we got to figure out what's your share as part of that budget. What's my share, etc. Okay? So you're going to see a decline in your valuation unless you're one of those two townships. All right? So what does that mean for you? Because 5 of the 6 townships that were invited to this particular meeting are at 18 mills. Okay? You are protected when we have a decline in valuation. That's written into the law. So it is possible that your mill rate, if you ask for what you asked for last year, which I would suspect most of you probably did, you're probably going to be at 18.27 mils. And no, that's not wrong, it's not incorrect, it's possible. You are protected in terms of those declines in valuation. So in about, oh gosh, probably about a month or so, once I've entered all the centrally assessed properties, which takes a bit of time, you as a clerk in the township in particular, you're going to get what we call our max levy worksheet. It's going to have your valuation. It's going to show the last 3 years of history for your township. It'll say what you asked for, what you're entitled to, how many mills it takes to achieve that, etc. So for 5 of you, you may very well see something just slightly above 18 mils. That's not an error. That's because that's what it's going to take to achieve those dollars that you requested. All right? So having said that, do you have any questions on this?
What about the pipeline that's going through? How's that passed?
Probably not. You'd have to have a problem. As far as that goes, I don't know of anything that's going to be taxed there. Because it's not a quote-unquote money maker, it's not a business, it's really the state of North Dakota.
The public entity.
Yeah. So that one wouldn't be, but, we have all kinds of other people that have eyes on our county, I'm sure, that are taxable entities, and if something new comes in here, whether it's a solar farm or who knows, wind farm, whatever, those would all be taxable, and so on.
Is it possible for the county to do something to tax the wildlife land? They've been tax exempt.
They're not tax exempt, they are taxed. They don't pay them the same way that you
Right.
do. They pay in lieu tax dollars, but all of that property, we do receive money.
Can they be taxed by example of CRP land?
I can't explain exactly how it is, but there's a value attributed to that property, and wherever it is, they pay based on the mill rate on that value of that property. So it's really no different. You have game and fish, you have school land, school trust lands, they're all taxed like that.
Peanuts.
What's that?
Peanuts.
Maybe, but if you own the land, I don't think that they would be paying any less. They wouldn't be paying any more than you would if you owned the land. So they do pay taxes. Game and fish pays taxes and so on. We even get some U.S. Fish and Wildlife monies back on properties that are leased. So
We actually up there, there's simple reason, so all I can keep pushing.
Yeah, they don't ask me about that, I have nothing to do with valuations, all I do is do the math on it, so. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about, when you look at your particular township, this is where things are going to get a little bit interesting. I'm going to guess every one of you somewhere 35 to nearly 45% of your revenue comes from prairie dog money. Okay? And that's why it's good to say that 5 of the 6 townships that are in this room are going to continue to get that. I think Dale handed out some sheets. Probably looks just like this. This is going to be part of your payment coming up here. The money that you're going to get as a result of that. However, there's 2 stipulations for that now. And this is where you want to pay attention. If you're at 18 mils, for heaven's sakes, don't let yourself fall below that. Because that is a criteria now for getting those dollars. All right, so you have to be at 18 mils. Second criteria is you can't have $100,000 in the bank in your general fund. So some of you might look at that and go, $100,000 we ain't even close. Well, that's all right. Okay. There is a township just north of here who does have more than $100,000 in their general fund bank account. Now, just so happens they're not at 18 mils, so strike 1, strike 2, they don't get another chance. Okay. But to me, that makes no sense. What's your largest expenditure as a township? Your road, right? If you don't have a road fund, you need to create a road fund in your township. Doesn't mean your money has to be in a different bank account and it has to be separated on paper. You have to have a road account, you have to have your general fund account. Now, having said that, you do need to know that your general fund money, you can spend on anything. You want to take general fund money and put it in your road fund, if you have one, that's your prerogative. You can do that. What you can't do is take your money out of your road fund and put it back in your general fund. It can, once it's here, it can only be spent on roads, whether that's a grade raise or culvert replacements or gravel for your roads or whatever the case may be. And that's what you're doing with the lion's share of your money anyway. Don't go to all the trouble to be at 18 mils and then have $101,000 in your general fund account, because you're going to lose anywhere from 35 to 45% of your revenue, which is prairie dog money. Now you can say, is prairie dog money guaranteed to me? No, it never is. I would suspect as long as that economy remains healthy in North Dakota, and it is, it's going to be there for us. A couple years ago, the bucket was way bigger, it was further back in line. The legislature moved it up in rotation, although they did shrink the size of it. They increased the likelihood that you're going to get it, but it's going to be a somewhat smaller share going forward. Then, part of that money is put into what's called flex funds. We do have some townships in Wells County. I think of Berlin right away, Norway Lake, Bremen Township. They've all applied for flex funds and they've received it. I'm not saying it's easy money to get, but it's free money that you can get. Can't go there asking for gravel. You're not going to find that. But if you need a grade raise, or if you need, I don't know what else, we have a road realignment in Norway Lake Township that's probably a $250,000 project. It's going to cost Norway Lake $5,000. Okay, that's a grant well written and well needed, and they got it. So good for them. So those 2 things, got to be at 18 mils, and you can't have more than $100,000 in your general fund. So when I call around in the wintertime, I know what your flow rate is because I established that in my computer. I don't know what's in your bank account. So when I reach out to you, I'm not being nosy. The state needs me to report to them to see if you're eligible for prairie dog funds. And 23 of our townships, which are at 18 and don't have $100,000 sitting in their general fund, are going to get a nice chunk of change. Last meeting we were at, Commissioner Loud asked a good question. Because one of the townships over there, not at 18 mils, and I think they were at like 10. Their valuation, if you look at your valuation on this sheet, and this is all that matters to the people that are living in your township, is what the valuation says here. Okay? Centrally assessed, You shouldn't care, because those are all out-of-state businesses, doesn't matter what they pay. Take that decimal at the end, so I'm looking at Hawks Nest Township here. The valuation, now I better look at 2026, is $882,992. If you move the decimal place in where the comma is, that's what the value of a mill there is, about $900. So if they had to move up 8 mills to get to 18, it would cost them collectively what? $7,200 to get 13,000 back? Who wouldn't take that deal? You all should. All right, what's that going to cost John Q. taxpayer? I suppose it depends on how much of the township you own. But to me, it's kind of a pittance compared to what you get in return. I'm not telling you to go to 18 mills. I'm telling you to be more mindful than, nobody wants their taxes raised. You got to think about what you could conceivably get back from going there. And that, again, is only one of you in the run. It's got to be Silver Lake, right? Who's from Silver Lake?
Right here, but the prairie dog money is supposed to all come back to the townships.
Not if you're no longer at 18 mills. And I told you this, I don't know if I told you specifically, but I told all the townships at the township officers meeting that this is going to happen. And now you have to be at 18 mills, and you can't have $100,000 sitting in your bank account. Those are the two criteria. Nothing you can do about 2026. Something you can do about 2027 and subsequent years. Okay? And again, I'm not telling you what to do. You know, Forward Township and Norway Lake, they ain't going to 18 mills. And they'll flat out both tell you that because they've got those big elevators in their township, we don't need the money, we're not doing it. And that's perfectly fine. But you are forfeiting something, and when I look at the percentage of your budget revenue that comes from Prairie Dog funds, you have to at least be mindful of that. And I'm a philosophical person, so it's easy for me to stand